Eternals, or as I like to call it, the Marvel Holy Bible, because the very first words on the screen really set the tone for the type of movie you're going to watch. It is in the beginning, clearly evoking Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Sorry, other religions, I haven't read your books. Maybe they also start with in the beginning. I just don't know. But really stands out to me, and what makes this movie different is the religious allegories, symbolism that they're pulling into this. So what was your feeling? What were you getting out of this film?
I walk away thinking it was a DC movie over a Marvel movie.
Yeah, no, it definitely had that DC vibe. Even if you want to talk about religious imagery, DC actually does that a lot, especially with Superman. He has a lot of Jesus imagery around him, especially the way Zack Snyder handles him. You know, he dies and gets resurrected.
He's back.
So saying that this felt like a DC movie, I feel like they were kind of trying to make a Marvel DC movie. I feel like if you were to ask the director, they might say, no, of course not. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, not only do we have a Superman type shooting laser beams and flying.
That's Superman with the cape and you're shooting laser beams out of your eyes.
I don't wear a cape.
We've got a Wonder Woman type with weapons, you know, sword and shield type stuff. We've got a super speedster, Flash type. We've got technological dude, kind of like cyborg. Yeah, it's got a cyborg feel to it. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of DC elements.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that could be maybe rubbing some Marvel fans the wrong way, because I mean the elephant in the room is the review situation right now. This movie is getting hammered in the reviews, and Marvel usually gets the benefit of the doubt from critics, I feel like. But I feel like some of that goodwill might be fading for a number of reasons. Number one, Marvel's been getting a lot of criticism from other directors in terms of the amount of content they're putting out there and how they're like kind of taking over the movie industry and not leaving room for other types of projects. So they have been getting a lot of pushback from the industry as a whole and the fans. Now I feel like some of the critics might be picking up on that too, to the point where, not where they're just going to be unfair to Marvel, but where they're going to be like, okay, usually we would be like, yeah, you kind of told the same story again, and yeah, this wasn't perfect, and that kind of dragged, but I had a fun time and I laughed a little, so I'll give you the plus.
Yeah.
Now I feel like they just say, no, it's not good enough. You have to do something special whilst you get the downvote.
I just feel like Marvel is big.
Yeah.
And when something is big as Marvel, it gets to the point where you can never satisfy everybody.
Everyone. That's true. Like, you can't keep everyone happy. You can't. Some people, it's like against everything they stand for, their culture, and what people might see it as blasphemous because of the religious elements. So I get it. But let's dig into the movie now. Let's actually get into the story. Spoiler warning, people. Hectic spoiler warning. We're going deep into everything. Big spoilers.
Everything.
Got it. So, essentially, what the Eternal story is about. Oh, sorry. In the beginning. I can't believe that's where we have to start. That actually reminds me. Back in high school, if I used to like be telling a story and a friend's like, no, I missed out on the beginning. Can you please start the story again? I used to, as a joke, be like, okay, so once upon a time, my dad met my mom, and they decided to have, because it's like, okay, that's not that far back. Exactly. So it feels funny to me that to explain this movie, I have to start with in the beginning. From the very beginning of creation. Okay, so this movie is about, in the beginning, Arishem, the Celestial, created everything. He is God. This is not a Thor Loki situation where it's like, the humans believe us to be gods, so we will use that to our advantage. No. The movie starts with this alien created everything. This is, for all intents and purposes, God in the Marvel universe. This giant red six-eyed being. It created everything. It created planets with life to serve as eggs for its children to grow. So any predators killing humans on that planet are taking food away from the little baby celestial, so they have to send the deviants to go get rid of the predators. But the deviants evolve too much and they start becoming predators, so then he has to send robots that'll never evolve called Eternals to go fight the deviants. That is the setup for the story. Our heroes are robots sent by God to make sure his food doesn't get messed up for his giant baby growing at the center of the planet. Do you understand how insane this shit is?
Guys, I was like, a fairy tale, man. This is a movie.
This is insane. Like, I thought, like, this whole franchise began with, once upon a time, a man that builds weapons made a suit that he put around himself so he could fly and fight crime.
His name is Iron Man.
Yeah. Mr. Man little boy got bitten by a spider. Now he can walk up walls.
What about this one?
Exactly. A little skinny boy from Brooklyn gets a science experiment goes wrong. Oh no, goes right. And, and becomes super strong and goes to fight for America. An African king gets a special metal that he builds his suit out of and he fights crime. All of these are just normal human, gets one little special thing and does something amazing with it. This movie has no normal humans a part of the central plot at all.
Yep.
This movie is about gods, their space babies, the food for their babies.
We are the food.
We're the food. And the people sent, essentially farmers that are sent to just take care of the food. Just make sure the crops are growing properly so the baby gets born. Wow, it makes you feel small, eh?
I am such a tiny little thing. And it makes me want to consider becoming a vegetarian.
Exactly. Like, maybe we shouldn't be killing things just to eat them. The central, backstory for this plot is madness. In this story, we are given God's perspective, literally. And I'm like, okay, so God is trying to create more gods, baby gods. And the only way to do that is through planetary destruction. Now, the question on should a god survive or should humanity survive? The one thing I like about the ending of the story is they have to pick between all of humanity or a god's life. End of the day, death is happening. Cosmic scale death. Like killing an entire planet, that's a big deal. But killing a god is also a big deal because they say numerous times throughout this movie, if this thing is killed, there's billions and billions of other planets and lives that it would have gone to create that it won't now because of us. So it's literally us saying, are we more important than billions of other lives? Now, as a human, I want to be on Team Human, but I don't know if we're that important. I really don't.
No.
I don't think this movie makes an argument for us to be that important.
This is God's creation. He made us. And we want to say, yeah, we know you created us, but listen here, I'm more important than you, and my survival on this earth is more important than yours. And the future creation of more life to come. And it's like, how do you justify that? How do you justify that? And also, I felt like the cast, when they were making decision on whether to stop the god or let what is to be, I felt like most of their decisions were made on lack of information. Because one is like, okay, fine. What we know so far is that the whole world would be extinct in order for the one to come along. And it's been happening before your guys
for
have been
thousands of years. Yeah.
Continuation of how everything is supposed to be and has been. So for now, as a robot, not even a human, the robot that you have now created is telling God, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. I'm like, the audacity.
The audacity.
You have a liver.
Dude.
And who is to say that these people on this earth, when they die, they will not be reborn in another life?
They don't know nothing. You don't know if when the god absorbs all the life on the planet, it gets to live on within him or something. I don't know. Firstly, for anyone listening that's thinking, wow, y'all just like bought into the religion. Firstly, I am not religious at all. Don't go to church. I consider myself either agnostic or atheist. Pick your flavor.
I'm not an atheist. I believe in God. I'm spiritual, not
Sure.
religious.
Fair enough. Either way, we are not talking about based on our personal beliefs for the real world.
No.
This movie began, it said, in the beginning, God, Arishim, the celestial created. This is not faith. We are not what people believe based on religious books and that kind of stuff. That's what the framework that we're discussing all of this within. So anyway, we're going on what they told us in this movie specifically. Now, just piggybacking off you said, the audacity of these characters to do this. I'm like, okay, I can understand humanity being upset by this. Mainly because, and to a certain extent the Celestials, mainly on the count that this God didn't let us know this stuff. That's one mistake. In most God's plans, actually, real or imagined. The main fuck up is that you essentially lied first to the deviants, then the Celestials. Did not know that their plan is just to cultivate something for its eventual harvesting one day. If you say to a child, here's your pet pig, and then when it finally grows up, oh no, we're going to eat this thing, then he's going to be like, oh, I thought it was my pet. He's going to be upset, you know. But if you tell him, like, you need to raise this thing for the slaughter, then he shouldn't get emotionally attached. You know, that is, I think, a flaw in this God's plan, is that he keeps springing surprises on everyone. Eternals are essentially framed as angels, right?
Yeah.
See, these are angels sent down to Earth that we eventually discover are here to herald our destruction, essentially. Now, the one thing I found interesting about the Eternals is kind of reminded me a little of the TVA in Loki. Now, the difference is Kang, or the one who remains at the end of Loki, is a guy. Just a guy that invented some time travel technology and decided, this is my favorite timeline for everything to work out.
You're just a man.
Flesh and blood. Don't tell me I'm a disappointment.
Whereas with the Eternals, it's literally the person who created the universe. Now, I'm like, bruh, I get it. I'm looking at this God and I'm like, I sympathize with you more than anyone else in the story. Because I'm like, imagine I made something. I built something with my bare hands. And then I was like, you know what? This thing needs some fuel. It needs some food to go inside it to make it better. And then I get my fuel. And then I make something else. I make a little robot to just take care of my fuel. Hey, robot, just make sure my fuel doesn't go off or doesn't spill or doesn't mess itself up. I turn around for a few seconds. I turn back and my robot's like, oh, that thing that your fuel's supposed to go into, I broke that thing. I broke it. Me and the fuel have taken up our civil rights. I'd be like, you motherfucker. Are you fucking kidding me?
Do you now understand how your parents feel about you?
I made you. Like, it's one thing. Like, okay, I understand a little bit with the humans because, like, you made something with free will. You know, you made a living creature. But with the Eternals, these are robots. Why'd you even make them with the capacity to turn against you? Number one. Number two, how'd you make them with the ability? Like, maybe they want to, but every time they try, some system thing stops them. No fail-safe, no firewall, no system lock.
Nothing
that even alerts you when they start changing their minds. But I look at it literally as the ending scene with the Celestials coming out of the earth. I think of that as a birth. I think of that as this God's baby is being born. And these robots that he made to take care of his baby murdered it. They murdered his baby for the sake of the baby's food. Because they're like, your baby wants to eat this thing, yeah, and we love these things more than we love your baby. I'm just like, bruh.
Stop it. The way they just
sounds dumb, man. It sounds so ridiculous. Bruh, I'm like, I get it. Human beings are pretty cool. I get it. We're funny sometimes. We're hot. We're adorable.
We're adorable.
We have all these nice things that happen in between the genocides and wars. And
I don't think we are that essential to that point where a god must
should
die.
be sacrificed. Billions of potential future planets.
Hey, Robert, look at death.
It's the end.
It's an end. There's no rebirth, nothing. It's done. And I'm like, not even human beings look at it like that. Human beings, we believe in heaven and hell, some of us. And some believe in reincarnation. So most religions on earth don't believe that death is even final.
Yeah.
But yet we have these robots that will rather cause extinction of any human life existing because of their understanding of death. And I'm like, but you haven't even talked to God himself to ask him,
What's your plan?
what's your plan?
Never seemed
Information.
like this God was like, oh, okay, so I'm gonna make this planet to birth this thing so I can become more powerful. No. He's like, we need more gods to spread life in the universe. This is literally the purpose of why I made all of this. Yes, for some things to grow, some things need to die. Just like for humans to grow, plants and animals need to die. Everything works like this is literally the cycle of the universe that God created, not our interpretation of God's creation. This is exactly what God wanted.
It's like human beings finally get their big questions answered. What is the purpose of life?
To be food for gods. Well, fuck you.
This Roberts decided that, no, we don't like your idea or your purpose of life. And we want to interfere with that. With zero consideration of how the humans actually feel about it.
Yeah, how the humans feel, how the gods feel, how anyone feels about it. It's just they think it's right. Which is interesting for me that not all of them think is right. I like that. I like the fact that there's disagreement within the group. You've got, the latest in the line of evil supermen behind Homelander and Omni-Man. Now we've got Icarus, the Eternal, who's another flying laser-eyed man, white man. They were white men too, interesting. As soon as there was a white man on the team, I'm like, he's going to be the evil one. They're not going to make the deaf woman of color or the gay black man the evil one.
They're already taking way too much by having those people
in the story. Yeah, they push them to the back. They barely in the story. They show up near the end. They're the last two teammates they pick up. So the white man, yeah, you're probably going to have to be the evil one. Sorry, buddy.
You understand, right?
Yeah.
Cool, right? Okay.
And then the little white girl runs behind her because she's in love with him. That tracks. and then
everybody needs to be in love with Superman.
Everyone. And then you get Kingo, the Indian dude that's like, I completely disagree with this. I think these humans should die. The one thing that I kind of rubbed up against a little weirdly is usually in these types of stories, just like in Invincible, when you have a creature that lives for thousands of years, they care about humans less and less.
Yeah.
Like when you have 1,000-year-old vampires, always like, human life is nothing. It's like a cockroach. It's going to end tomorrow. But then you've got, these...
I myself prefer Klaus the Mad. Do spread the word.
Klaus from the originals. Exactly. But then when you got these 1,000-year-old Eternals, they seem to be caring more and more about humans as they go along, to the point that now they're turning against their original god. That was a little weird to me. That I was like, okay. But I like that some of them didn't go along with the plan. But with the ones that did go along with the plan, honestly, I probably would have been fighting them too. I would be on that beach, like, standing next to evil Superman, like, yeah, bro, these guys are fucking crazy. Let's blow up this planet and go to our next planet. Like, this is not our planet. This is just a job. This is just last week's salary, and then we go on to the next planet.
I would not have fought them. I'm sorry. I would not have fought them. I would have just flew to God, find his location, and be like, yo, dude, Anyway, things are going down back there. Go talk to your people.
Yeah. And God shows up. We'll keep calling him God. Arishem, or fuck it. God shows up at the end, sees the corpse of his baby half stuck out of this planet, and he's like, I can't believe you people. I'm taking you to a timeout. I would have shown up, crushed this planet. I'm like, is this the planet you killed my baby for? This one right here? Oh, this one. Oh, how you like that?
Get done.
I swear my fucking mother, if you touch her again, you're dead!
I'm gonna put a baby in another planet. I'm gonna go fuck that planet over there tomorrow. That is the character I most relate to in this movie. It's the character I feel most sad for. Is God. He got screwed over by all the people that were supposed to be on his team. His whole squad just turned on him.
I'm all about loyalty.
I'm all about loyalty, bro. I'm like, nah, bro. You were sent on a mission, and you turned on your people just because you fell in love, man.
Humans going to die if they're not already dead because they can't live for 1,000 years. So you can fall in love again and again and again and again and again. What is the problem?
Dude, they're gonna erase your memory, send you to another planet, go fall in love with some blue aliens next time. So my second character that I felt the most bad for was the big monster deviant. Because we find out that they were the same as the Eternals, also sent on a mission. They also turned against their mission because they evolved out of it. And then, in this movie, the Eternals are just slaughtering them. The whole movie, evil monsters, shit. And we all like, they look like evil monsters, so it makes sense. At the end of the day, we find out they're exactly the same thing. They were both sent here for the same purpose. And they have just realized, oh, our God lied to us. Like, when the Eternals also find that out, I'm like, oh, so you're going to team up with the monsters and you're all going to save the day together. At the end, on the beach, while they're saving the world, they're still killing the monsters. Like, the Deviants are one of the worst villains because they're just monsters. And then when they try to add another layer, I'm like, oh, this is going to lead to... No. We still treat them as monsters. So I'm like... These things that have so much sympathy for humans, but you don't feel for these creatures that are literally created
same position
as you. You should see them as brothers in arms.
It's because they look ugly.
And they killed your friend, I guess.
It's because they look ugly.
Yeah. So, let's talk about some of the stuff I really liked. One thing I liked, everything to do with Makari, the super speed lady. Oh, yes. Every time she was running around, fighting. Her fight with Icarus at the end was the best action, in my opinion, in the whole story.
And then when she's running and she's stopping, she goes, boom. That boom effect. Oh!
Yeah.
Touch myself.
I like all the gold power effects. Those are cool. It does have like almost like a mythical, religious sort of feeling to it. I liked Kingo. He was funny. He was very funny. He had some of the best lines in the movie. I like that he was like, you know what? Screw this end battle. I'm not going to fight you guys, but I don't agree with you. But I didn't like that he wasn't part of the end action. Because I'm like, you're one of my favorite characters. I've liked you the whole way. Now we're going into the big end. And then he's just not there. Like, I think they could have found a way to keep him involved, even if he has that philosophy. I don't know how.
No, I like it. Because I believe it, so why be there?
So, as much as complaining about the actions of the Eternals, it's because I actually find it interesting. I feel like there's something to chew on here. There's something to talk about.
Beginning.
Exactly. So as a movie, I actually liked it. I don't hate this movie. It's not perfect to me. One of my main flaws is none of the stuff I've been talking about in terms of what the characters do, but rather how the story's told. I feel like the idea of splitting up the team and then having the whole journey be putting the team back together means that we have to have a lot of travel to here, find this person, explain everything to him, move here, find the next person, explain it. So the movie's actually a lot of talking. There's not a lot of action scenes in it, actually. When there are action scenes, I feel like they're really good, but they're too few and far between for my liking. I feel like the philosophical elements from the very beginning of the story and the very end of the story are the most interesting. Throughout the story, where they're like, should we help humans? Should we not? I didn't find that debate all that interesting because it's like, y'all have picked your sides. Like, just do what you're going to do now. So that's what I don't like about the movie, which sounds like a lot, is the middle of the movie. Like when they set up what these gods do, and then when they decide what they're going to do at the end, dope. But the middle of the movie, traveling around, meeting everyone again, and just going over what we've learned over and over, I'm like, nah, this is not as interesting as you think it is. One thing that could have made it a little more interesting, because I don't care about the deviants at all, would be if they cut out the deviants completely. The big twist that, Icarus agrees with the god and he's going to fight against the team. If that had happened earlier, and now the whole movie is two teams, one trying to destroy the Earth and one trying to save the Earth, clashing at... That would have been interesting, because the coolest part's when they're fighting each other. You know, still a good movie. I'm more it's weird though, because as much as I'm interested in the philosophical elements, especially the religious elements in the story, and what it means for the universe as a whole, I'm not super interested in where this goes from here. I'm not interested that much in seeing these characters showing up in other movies. If I never see these people again, I'll be fine. End credits were useless. It's like, there's another Eternal that we didn't know that shows up like, hey guys,
I know where they are, let's go find them.
I'm like, I don't even know who you are. There's another one. Yeah, I don't care. And then at the very end, Jon Snow found a sword. I'm like, bro, I've seen you with swords for 7 seasons.
You can find something else.
I don't care, bro. I don't care. So yeah, I'm not that interested in seeing that stuff continue. That's my word. It's weird now, because the thing I'm most interested in and talking about in this review and in this movie, I think, hopefully it doesn't, but I think it might have ruined the entire Marvel universe.
In what way?
In the sense that everything else feels so small now. It all seems so insignificant.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have to fight off some terrorists taking over a school. Who cares? This whole planet should be destroyed. It should be gone. The space god said so. It's like, none of this matters. I know what God wants. Like, I'm in God's head now. That's how I think of the world now. I think of it from God's perspective.
And that's why you should never ever want to know what's inside God's head.
Yeah, it just ruins everything, eh?
So just keep on following religious books and debating about what he thinks, but never ever go and find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Like in the next movie, if like Thor dies and someone's crying, I'm like, you guys killed God's baby. Stop crying over this stupid man. God's baby's dead. Its corpse is just lying in the ocean.
How are you gonna watch Spider-Man Homecoming? Change the timeline. It doesn't change anything.
It doesn't change
You can
nothing.
change whatever timeline you want at the end of the day. Whatever timeline you are on, you are just food.
For God. That's all you are.
It's like that as food of thought.
Exactly. Oh well. Scope's a little too big. I think this could have worked as like...
Independent movie has nothing to do with Marvel or DC.
I was gonna say a Netflix miniseries, but also completely separate from the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Just like, here's a religious superhero story, 1 season, 5 episodes, done, move on. But putting this in the Marvel universe changes the scale of everything so much that any individual human just seems so insignificant. And the thing is, I'm so interested in this like religious aspect that that's where my brain goes now. Every time someone mentions something Marvel, I'm just like, yeah, but Space God must be pissed. So yeah, hopefully I'll feel different as the next movies come out. I'll be like, no, this is still important somehow.
As long as superheroes are saving humans, they are reserving food for the god.
This is just more and more food for Space
So
God.
go ahead and save the world.
Yep. Well done, people. The babies need food to grow big and strong.
Exactly.
Okay. So, thanks for watching our review, guys. If you like this, subscribe, hit that like button, come back for more reviews of Marvel stuff. We do challenge episodes, we do TV shows and movies. So, just go check us out.
Thank you.
Late.